Right, here's today's course, 22.5 kilometres, starting and finishing as we've seen in the Stade Velodrome, with the sightseers' tour of Marseille in between, taking in the seafront Corniche, the Old Port, and a testing climb up to the Basilica of Notre-Dame de la Garde. A very diplomatic Lizzie Deignan there, and I think her verdict on the event would be widely shared, an experiment that needs substantial tweaking before next year. It showed off Marseille exceptionally well, though, and gave us a pretty good idea what to expect from the time trial. First man down the start ramp was the last man in the standings, Luke Rowe. His main priority was getting round safely rather than particularly quickly. Bora Hansgrohe's Mathieu Bodnar, though, blazed round and set the best early time of 28 minutes 15. World Time Trial champion Tony Martin, having missed out in Dusseldorf on stage one, rode on a sandpaper saddle to hold himself in position. He missed out here too, coming in 14 seconds behind Bodnar, but on the bright side his buttocks were perfectly smooth and ready for a coat of primer. Jonathan Castroviejo's chances of beating Bodnar lasted barely beyond the stadium gates before he came off. But Michał Kwiatkowski, with Chris Froome monitoring the data in the car behind him, actually set the best times at both intermediate checks before slipping back to miss out by a second. So, with Mathieu Bodnar's 28.15 still the time to beat, and Froome warming up in a regulation skin suit that nonetheless seems to have some sort of texture to it, possibly generated by a layer underneath, we join commentary with the 9th placed rider in the start house.
The polka dot jersey, Warren Barguil, one of the stories of the summer for France, indeed for the cycling world. A rider back to his very best and probably surpassing everything he's ever achieved in his young career. So much potential, so much future promise for Warren Barguil. And listen to the reception he gets from the crowd here. It's not full, the Stade Velodrome, but it is bouncing with noise, and Barguil grins in enjoyment and pleasure. He's not going to be winning today, I don't think. There's not too much at stake for Warren Barguil. He can enjoy 22.5 kilometres of celebration, effectively, in Marseille. Contador yet to hit the coast road before heading eventually for the first checkpoint, and we'll see how Alberto Contador is faring. Simon Yates in the white jersey, just as his brother was this time last year. Can he hang on? Chances are he will, but he needs to be focused and he needs to be committed, and he cannot let anything go wrong here. He's got 2 minutes and 6 seconds over Louis Meintjes to defend that white jersey, I should say. Slip of the tongue. I'm sure the yellow jersey will be a focus of his ambitions in the years to come, but might have to be a little bit patient until he's in that kind of form.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting when we see both brothers at the Tour de France in both in their current guise of being genuine GC races. It could be a formidable pairing.
Well, don't forget that Nairo Quintana's out on the course, as well as Simon Yates, who we're looking at. Alberto Contador is also out and running, Warren Barguil, but this man has a lot at stake here. Romain Bardet in second place in the general classification. He lies 23 seconds back on Chris Froome, but he's only got 6 seconds to defend Rigoberto Urán in third place.
Yeah, I mean, he's done everything right up to now. He's tried everything, he never gave up. I was speaking with him and Vincent Lavenu this morning, his director sportif, and Vincent Lavenu was saying how those final 400 metres, 500 metres at Izoard he did in the big ring. And we saw, and he was then saying to Vincent Lavenu afterwards that he'd never gone that deep before. He almost collapsed after the finish. So, I mean, that's somebody who did give everything. His team's ridden excellently, but now he's got Rigoberto Urán breathing down his neck. And Rigoberto Urán, I said, is a bit of a mystery man, bit of a dark horse. We have no idea what he's going to do today.
Well, the way Dan Martin's been racing this Tour de France, I don't think he'll be holding back at all. He's got an outside chance of overhauling Fabio Aru and moving into 5th place. This man, well, I think it'll be a tall order for Romain Bardet to even finish on the podium of the Tour de France, but he is full of self-belief, he's full of focus, he's improved his time trialling. The question is, by how much? This is a big day for Romain Bardet. I don't think he's going to win the Tour de France this year, but the next 22.5 kilometres of time trialling will inform him about what he needs to do to get that yellow jersey and to wear it in Paris. And off he goes. And after Bardet embarks on the 22.5 sweltering hot difficult kilometres of Marseille time trial, there will be just one man, and it's the man in possession of the yellow jersey, the defending champion, Chris Froome.
He's not in the safe position he normally is in at this point in the race, where he's totally in control with a buffer. He knows anything could happen. He could lose Tour de France today from a mechanical or something silly going wrong, and that's not a nice place to be in, even for Chris Froome.
Well, Uran has safely negotiated those first few bends, and now he's onto the straight section of road that leads down to the coast. So the technical section in the first kilometre is done, and not every rider has got around this in one piece. And let's just have a look at what happens here to Rigoberto Uran. That was okay. Maybe took slightly wrong line, but there was no danger there from Rigoberto Uran. This is it then. 3 weeks of racing, the yellow jersey on his shoulders, 22.5 kilometres. Froome's off and running. This could be it. Will it be a coronation, or will it ultimately end in disappointment and disaster for Chris Froome? Will he go all out and try and win the stage? Will he ride within himself? And how much damage can Rigoberto Uran and Romain Bardet and the rest of them out on the course do to that lead, that slender lead that Chris Froome takes into stage 20? Still, Mathieu Bodnar from Bordeaux Hansgrohe posts the best time and has held on to it for a long time. 28.15 is the time to beat. Will Chris Froome be attacking that, or will he just be thinking about the general classification? Don't forget, he has not won a bike race, Chris Froome, of any description in 2017, and he goes into stage 20 of the Tour de France without a victory.
Alberto Contador coming up to the second time check, doing a very quick time.
Yeah, he's done okay. Contador was 13 seconds down on Kwiatkowski at the first checkpoint. So if he's held on to something like that advantage, he'll be posting a fast time indeed, and Alberto Contador. And I think he's nailed on to jump over Warren Barguil into 9th place at the end of today, at least. Because Contador is going to attack this come what may, even though what is 9th place on the Tour de France to Alberto Contador? Well, it's not much, but he does ride with considerable pride.
It'd actually be his lowest ever place, I think, in the Tour de France,
yeah,
which says a lot about his career.
Indeed it does. Second, and very, very quick. That's almost as fast as Michał Kwiatkowski. So that is he's absolutely flown between the two checkpoints there. Meanwhile, Warren Barguil in that eye-catching skin suit provided by the organisation, the polka dot jerseys, up the final climb that he has to negotiate of the 2017 Tour de France. It's 1.2 kilometres in length, and it's an average of 9%. It's a nasty ramp to get over, up to Notre-Dame de la Garde. Bardet will like it. He'll look to claw time back that he will inevitably lose to some of the other riders on this flat sections. So he's really got to measure his effort. Perhaps differently from everyone else, David. I mean, you've been speaking to him about his time trial here. What's he got to do?
Well, for me, it's discipline that he hasn't enjoyed at all in the past, and so I've been helping a bit with him with training and more just the kind of the mental preparation for it, and how to pace control. I think his pacing control wasn't quite right before, and I was telling him that he had to essentially kind of really gauge and keep the cadence high in those headwind sections, not count everything on this climb. And think that just because he's a climber, he has to go really fast up there. He's going to have to make sure he gets the climb as fast as he can, and then pace it up here really cleverly. I told him he was trying to stay in the saddle the whole first half of it, whereas before I think he was planning on going out the saddle, which I said just on this last section really beats it as hard as you can, like we're seeing Warren Barguil doing, and then just plan to explode on this second intermediate time check.
Well, Contador set the second best time, almost identical to Michał Kwiatkowski's at the second checkpoint, and Warren Barguil is, 46 seconds slower at that checkpoint, and that suggests that Barguil will be losing out on 9th place, and they will swap places essentially. I'm pretty sure of that by the end of the day. Contador bumping himself up to 9th and Barguil dropping down to 10th. A top 10 finish, though, nonetheless, for the polka dot jersey. Back on board with Romain Bardet. He's been out there for nearly 8 minutes, which means that the man who went off 2 minutes ahead of him, Rigoberto Uran, there we go, 10 minutes now for Rigoberto Uran. The time to beat at the first checkpoint was 11:53 through 10.2 kilometres. And if Rigoberto Urán is going to become a real problem and a real headache for Chris Froome and do something absolutely exceptional on the Tour de France this year, we will know in the next couple of minutes, because he will have to post a brilliant time at the first checkpoint. It has to be close to the time of Bodnar and Kwiatkowski. 11:53 would be Urán's target there if he's on a flyer. So the last rider to go through the checkpoint as we go back to Romain Bardet was Fabio Aru, and actually his time through that first checkpoint was the 22nd fastest. Just 38 seconds down on Kwiatkowski's time, which is that's decent through 10.2 kilometres, and it would indicate that Martin might have a real struggle to overhaul Fabio Aru if he wants to. Remember, Dan Martin needs to take 1 minute and 2 seconds from Fabio Aru on this individual time trial if he wants to claim 5th place and relegate Fabio Aru down to 6th. So Martin would have to do something absolutely exceptional, because 38 seconds down on Kwiatkowski's time for Aru is not bad at all.
Chris Froome is flying. I think we did put him down as probably the favourite for the time trial today, and by the looks of it, he's already going fast, quite a bit faster than Romain Bardet.
Simon Yates, in the meantime, going up the climb. Now, Yates, don't forget, is involved in a battle almost directly and to the exclusion of everything else for the white jersey. And he needs to be worrying or thinking about the time of Louis Meintjes. Up this climb, this will favour him. He can, well, it'll favour Meintjes too. Decent from Simon Yates. Stops the clock, 21:19. He's 58 seconds slower than Michał Kwiatkowski. And I think he has this in control. Louis Meintjes went through that second checkpoint, I can tell you, at 1:07 slower than Kwiatkowski, so 9 seconds slower than Simon Yates. So everything is fine for the white jersey, provided he stays upright and holds his form to the finish line. In the meantime, Urán is in the old port and heading out and towards that checkpoint. The other side of that wheel, he'll turn left and then he'll head right up the other side of the port, and there we will get an indication of just how well he's going in about 800 metres time. Key moment, this.
Yeah, it is. This is it's going to be very interesting. It's like Alberto Contador's done a great time trial.
Well, actually, Urán must have been through, because I'm seeing on my screen now that Urán has, according to the information I've got, he's gone through that checkpoint 26 seconds slower than Michał Kwiatkowski. In the meantime, Alberto Contador is close to finishing stage 20 of the Tour de France. Let's see where he ends up. It's a good time, and he has really attacked this circuit. Contador coming towards the finish line now. 28:30, 31. He will be top 10, I think, on the stage, and that's an excellent, excellent time from Alberto Contador. Only 21 seconds down on Mathieu Bodnar. Very, very good indeed from Contador. Well, Urán has gone through the first check, 26 seconds slower than Michał Kwiatkowski. What time schedule is Chris Froome on? Dan Martin is coming up to the second check now. And just attacking the hill as best he can. He's had a risky Tour de France, Dan Martin. He has been on the offensive. He's been incredibly unfortunate. And another time his team possibly didn't play the best tactics and left him a little bit exposed. There's nothing he could do about the crash into Richie Porte. On other occasions, perhaps he's been slightly the architect of his own misfortune, because he's been willing to attack. And sometimes that has exploded in his face a little bit. But he's done extremely well, Dan Martin, and he's shown probably the best form on a Grand Tour of his career. Fabio Aru now climbing up to Notre-Dame-de-la-Garde. He's the next rider off.
So you can see even Aru's making this look hard. So Romain Bardet should have gone through that time check. Once again, we're not getting information. There he is.
45 seconds down.
So he's lost second place at the moment.
Yeah, he has 19 seconds slower than Rigoberto Urán.
Really hanging it out as usual, using every single millimetre of road there, Romain Bardet.
And the next rider through the splits will be Chris Froome. In about a minute's time, or less.
I have a feeling Chris Froome might be going to smash the time check. The good thing for them is they have all those time checks from Kwiatkowski through the course, so they know exactly. Chris Froome, there you go, it's 2 seconds down on Kwiatkowski. So he's just going almost exactly the same speed as Kwiatkowski was, and we know Chris Froome generally always does negative splits. So he speeds up, or everyone else slows down as the time trial goes on.
He's still smiling. He left the course, left to go onto the course smiling. 22.5 kilometres later, he crosses the finishing line, still smiling. Yeah, Chris Froome, as David has said, he's 2 seconds down on Kwiatkowski, and that means that he is 24 seconds faster through the first checkpoints than Rigoberto Urán. And if this continues, it will be a procession. Chris Froome is stamping his authority on this time trial. Fabio Aru is just battling the gradients and trying to hold off the challenge, the threat of Dan Martin. Martin went through this checkpoint 1 minute and 12 seconds down on...
So 22 seconds slower than Aru.
And he's actually slower than Fabio Aru, so Aru will hold on to his place. Romain Bardet now knows that he is slipping down the GC rankings. He's effectively lost second place to Rigoberto Urán. But with Mikel Landa, I don't think in the top standings through the Czech time at the moment. I think Romain Bardet, he'll be threatened by Mikel Landa, but I think he's okay at the moment. He's got a little bit of wriggle room. He's got something to work with.
So Landa's got 19 seconds. He's got 19 seconds faster than Romain Bardet at that first time check. So here is Mikel Landa getting a better idea here. 6. So he's not flying, but he's not going too badly either.
Well, Mikel Landa needs to make up 1 minute and 13 seconds on Romain Bardet if he is going to take himself into, well, probably third place, assuming that Rigoberto Urán ends up in second place. So a podium place, 1 minute and 13 seconds if Bardet is the victim of a flyer from Urán. Urán is on the strong, difficult, hard climb up to Notre-Dame-de-la-Garde, and then we'll get a second checkpoint timing and find out whether he has attacked this climb or whether he's clawed a little bit of time back on Chris Froome, or whether or not the reverse has happened. Body shape still looks all right. There is the timing point. Mikel Landa, I can tell you, has gone through. He went through at checkpoint 33 seconds down on Michał Kwiatkowski's time.
It's looking strong. He's punching over the top, so you can see just the effort is going in. I think this is what they all are trying to do it this way, where they are exploding over the top and recovering on the descent.
21 seconds down on Kwiatkowski's time, so he's 12 seconds quicker than Mikel Landa. But really what matters for him is what time is Chris Froome doing? Is Chris Froome still holding on to his form that clearly was indicated by the first checkpoint? And what can Romain Bardet do now on the climb to recover some of the losses that he has sustained at the first checkpoint? This is important for Simon Yates, not least because it's a time trial on a Grand Tour and he's wearing the jersey. But when the clock stops and Simon Yates gets to the finishing line here at the Stade Velodrome, we will know exactly what target Louis Meintjes would have to achieve if he is going to take the white jersey from Simon Yates, or whether Yates, as he stops the clock at 29:49, whether or not Yates will be confirmed as the white jersey wearer. You would have imagined so. In every situation it'll be safe, but there we go. Simon Yates. Well, of course, Meintjes has already finished, so Simon Yates is the white jersey. That's confirmed now. Meintjes' finishing time, just to confirm, 29:49, according to my screen, and that's exactly the same time as Simon Yates. So there we go. And Romain Bardet now just turning left-handed, and he's still got such endlessly long climb. He's being cheered on by the crowd. Colombian flags there, French flags too, and now Chris Froome is flying up the climb as well. Remember, Romain Bardet went off 2 minutes ahead of Chris Froome, but that time gap between the two has concertinaed down between second and first on the road. The pressure of the moment might have just told, in and out of his saddle, not finding his rhythm, not finding the position on the bike that he needs, battling with that gradient. He will stop the clock here, and he's losing a lot of time.
It's just a minute now to, over a minute, minute 17, so this isn't good. It's probably getting closer to Landa. Landa's, let's have a look, Landa came in about
33 seconds down,
so 27, 37, 44 seconds.
Yeah. And now Chris Froome, as you can see, just pedaling with that very, very high cadence, holding his form. His position on a bike just looks so much more comfortable than Romain Bardet's, and he's well, it's a brilliant time trial from Chris Froome.
He's destroying this time check. It's considering where he came from. But yeah, look at the cadence. It's just different to everybody else out there. Once he gets up here, he'll know now that he's got the yellow jersey secured. He's just going to have to ride safely now, make sure he makes no mistakes on this descent, and just keep it together.
Just one more moment of potential peril for Chris Froome, because the time is fine. The time, he's done the damage on the climb and on the flat roads approaching the climb. He gets over the top of this climb. Now he just needs to pay attention. He will have gone into the red there. He will be, as you say, David, battling with lucidity. He just needs to hold that bike on the road and get to the finish line. Rigoberto Urán has done what he could, but Urán is not the time trialist nor the climber that Chris Froome is on this Tour de France, and he will be moving up into second place, having dispensed with Romain Bardet, but unable to dent the yellow jersey unless something very dramatic happens to Chris Froome. It's a good time trial from Fabio Aru, this. He was potentially vulnerable to a super time trial from Dan Martin. The reverse has happened, though. Fabio Aru has actually gone faster, I think, than Dan Martin on this time trial today. And when he stops the clock, it'll be perhaps top 20, top 25, which for a rider like Fabio Aru is heartening. Has shown weakness in the high mountains, to everyone's surprise, but that's a good time trial from him. 19th place provisionally, 1:16 down on Mathieu Bodnar's time. And Bodnar, don't forget, continues to hold the best time of 28:15, and no one has got the better of that. Will Chris Froome be able to win a stage? And will Romain Bardet be able to hold off the threat that is posed to him by Mikel Landa?
Yeah, that is his big threat now. He can second place unless something happens to Urán. Has now disappeared, but now he's just going to make sure he can hold on to that podium position. As you said, Chris Froome is if once he gets through this section, I mean, he's pretty brave going through there in the past, so he's not taking it very super safe, but he is doing a ride that could very well take him the stage, because we know he finishes very strong. We know that's one of his trademarks, is the negative splits, is coming through and going faster through each time check. So yeah, this could be the stage that his first win of the year.
Of 2017, winless, which is an astonishing fact, that Chris Froome has not won a bike race in 2017, but he's got every chance of winning this. Now, Mikel Landa coming towards the finishing line. This matters for Romain Bardet in particular. 1 minute and 13 seconds separates the two of them in the general classification, so it's very important for Mikel Landa, if he wants to remain on the podium, what this time is. He will have a target to aim at. Let's look as Mikel Landa comes towards the finishing line now. It's a very, very good time trial from him. He's going to be comfortably top 20. Clock ticks over 29 minutes. He stops the clock at 29:06. So that would mean that the target that Romain Bardet faces is 30 minutes, by my calculations, and 19 seconds. 30 minutes and 19 seconds. That is for a podium finish for Romain Bardet to double up on his second place of last year.
I think it's going to be quite close. 4Ks to go. That's 5 minutes to do those 4Ks in, which it is quite fast here, but it's all that technical section at the end is going to make it touch and go.
Second place is gone. Romain Bardet is in a battle against the clock and in a battle for third place, and his enemy is Mikel Landa. Not long to go now for Rigoberto Urán, who's the next rider over the line. Third from last in the order over the line. Rigoberto Urán in third place, but whoa! And he's gone into the barrier. Gets back on, clips in. He's probably got enough time in the bank to be able to do that, but yeah, just a momentary lapse of concentration. Don't think it'll have huge consequences in the end for Rigoberto Urán. I think the time that he posts over the finishing line will be comfortably take second place from Romain Bardet. He has a much better time trialist than Romain Bardet, and he's held his form, and true to form, Rigoberto Urán on a fantastic Tour de France for him, rediscovering, as he stops the clock at 28:46, rediscovering and reinventing himself, and he has not had a Grand Tour like this for a long time.
Oh, he's lucky to keep that up there and keep momentum as well. It's, oof.
That front wheel could have collapsed if he'd just attacked that barrier. Well, Bardet knows what he has to do now, but that kilometre Flamme Rouge arch is still a long way off.
Yeah, it's one thing knowing what you have to do, and then whole another thing being able to do it. And this is going to be a horrible last couple of Ks for him. Look at Chris Froome's chasing him down as well. So Chris Froome's got him in his sights and is moving, and that's going to help Chris Froome massively, because now he's got that target, and that can really help.
So Romain Bardet has become, unfortunately for him, Chris Froome's inspiration here. 2 kilometres to go for Romain Bardet. He's got to stop the clock in a time under 30 minutes and 19 seconds if he wants to hold on to a podium place. And that is the yellow jersey coming into your shot. Where is he now? Like a bullet, shooting up this long straight road, eyeing up that brown and blue jersey of Romain Bardet further up the road in second place in the general classification. Just 23 seconds down on Chris Froome before this time trial got underway. But he went off the start ramp 2 minutes before Chris Froome, and Chris Froome on this long straight section is closing all the time. It's going to be very close by the time they actually get to the outskirts of the velodrome here and enter the final few metres.
But that will probably help Romain Bardet a little bit if he's caught by Chris Froome, just give him that last little push that he might need to drag him into the velodrome. But it is going to be touch and go, and that would be pretty ironic if Chris Froome's catching of Romain Bardet saves his podium and puts Landa off.
There is the Flamme Rouge. That means there's 1 more kilometre to go. 30:19 is Romain Bardet's target. He is going to have, what, he's going to have a minute plus something, so he might have enough in the bank here, David. 28:52, he's got about,
a minute, sorry, 26.
Yeah, 26, he's got a minute 26. Doable?
Doable, yeah.
And the yellow jersey breathing down his neck.
Yeah.
So, no doubt about the fact that Chris Froome will secure the yellow jersey unless something awful happens to him in the final kilometre of the race. Romain Bardet is battling for third on the Tour de France to match and mirror his podium of last year, where he finished in second place. Mighty battle, though. 30:19 is his target, and the whole French cycling nation is willing him to get to the finishing line here, but he's suffering.
49 seconds to go, and what is it, 500 meters? It's going to be close.
So, 2 different stories here from 2 very different riders. Romain Bardet, many people think surely one day will win the Tour de France, has a Grand Tour in his compass, but he's going to have to improve his time trialling if he's going to do that. He is sustaining heavy losses here. Started the day in second place. He might be in 4th by the end of the day. Remember, 30:19 is his target. 30 minutes and 19 seconds. At this point, he has 19 seconds to get to the finishing line, and still he is not inside the velodrome. Now he enters the Stade Velodrome in Marseille with the yellow jersey just honing into view over his shoulder. He's got 100 metres to go. 30:19, 7 seconds, 6, 5, 4. Can he hold on? He's got a sprint for the line. He's just going to hang on just to a podium position, but there goes Chris Froome. He sprints for the line just a few metres behind Romain Bardet, and for the 4th time in 5 years, the Tour de France, the greatest race on earth, belongs to the greatest stage racer of his generation. Romain Bardet pushed him very, very hard. Rigoberto Urán asked big questions of Chris Froome. So did the rest of the race. But Froome, once again, is unstoppable.
And shortly afterwards, barely able to move in the post-stage crowd scene. Sky coach Tim Kerrison was among the first to fight his way through for a hug. Sitting under the stand, Romain Bardet looked completely drained and perhaps distraught at losing second place. When he realised how close he came to falling off the podium altogether, that might have turned to relief. Here is the stage result, a great win for Mathieu Bodnar that wasn't initially clear as the timers flipped from Bardet to Froome across the line. Froome finished third, 5 seconds behind his teammate and Tour shadow Michał Kwiatkowski. Tony Martin was fourth, then it was Daryl Impey, Alberto Contador, Niki Assant, Rigoberto Urán, who lost 25 seconds to Froome, Stefan Kung and Sylvain Chavanel. Mikel Landa finished 51 seconds behind the winner and 1:12 ahead of Romain Bardet, leaving him 1 second short of third place. Fabio Aru performed perhaps better than expected, and Dan Martin perhaps worse, although he's had a terribly tough tour. Oddly, Simon Yates and his white jersey rival Louis Meintjes registered exactly the same time to confirm their places both in that competition and overall. The day, though, was Mathieu Bodnar's.
For sure is my best day of the life, or my career for sure.
Bodnar was first onto the podium for the first time in his Tour career. Everyone else after him had been there before. Simon Yates, every day since stage 5, when he took the white jersey he'll wear into Paris tomorrow.
Of course, your twin brother Adam did the same last year, took the jersey. Does that add something special to it? It's certainly history.
Yeah, well, of course, I'm it's great that I can continue and hold the jersey. And for sure, looking in the future, and I think it'll be something. I hope that it will be remembered, and yeah, hope one day I can exchange it for a different colour.
And I don't think he meant green. Admirable ambition there from Simon Yates, and a great double by the Sunweb team, with Michael Matthews taking the points jersey and Warren Barguil, the king of the mountains, the most aggressive rider and the biggest cheer of the day. So here's the definitive GC until it gets rearranged by the odd second tomorrow. Chris Froome has won his fourth Tour de France by 54 seconds from Rigoberto Urán, with Romain Bardet third at 2 minutes 20. In the end, everyone else stayed where they were, save for Alberto Contador passing Warren Barguil for ninth. But Mikel Landa, through sacrificing himself in the mountains for Chris Froome, ultimately sacrificed his chances of a place on the podium, finishing fourth, 1 second behind Bardet.
Mikel, it was so close. I imagine you're disappointed.
Yes, a little bit, no. 1 second is very few time, no, and losing the podium for one second is very sad.
Do you think back to any moment in the time trial where you could have saved that 1 second?
Yeah, in the final case, the coach was telling me, no, that Bardet was not going so good, so I tried at all and I give it all, but yeah, finally he had 1 second of advantage.
And how impressed have you been with Chris Froome in this Tour de France?
It's been a nice experience again, no? Last year we enjoy, this year I enjoy also, no? I learn a lot, and it will be a nice experience for the future.
The future, of course, being at Movistar next season, racing against his current team leader. He hadn't won a race all season, Chris Froome, and he still hasn't won a stage in this Tour, but he has won the race overall.
What's going through your mind at this moment?
Oh, it's just an amazing feeling. I mean, this atmosphere here in this stadium, and it's just 3 weeks of racing has almost come to an end now. I mean, obviously we've got to get to Paris tomorrow, but yeah, just amazing feeling, absolutely amazing feeling.
The time trial, a lot of people had you the favourite. It wasn't to be. How hard was it? How did you feel out there?
It was tough. I mean, there were just 1,000 what-ifs and things that potentially could go wrong, and trying to think of all the different scenarios. So it was certainly not an easy one coming into today with it being so close. But yeah, just feels incredible to finish that one off now.
Chris, enjoy tomorrow's final stage in Paris, and we'll speak to you then.
Thanks a lot.